Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. This is the TAFA and chart analysis for January 29th, getting towards the end of the month, 2022. Weekend has actually been pretty good. Slightly up today, not a whole lot, as you can see, but slightly up today if you look at the 1 day. We actually maxed about 38,700, which is actually getting pretty close to the max after we actually dumped down. As you can see, the max after we dumped down was about 38,900. We were only about 100 off the max since we finally dumped down. But we would actually need to go significantly above this max for any kind of real signal. And like I said, the real signal is still at 44,000, but at least the first minor signal for a reversal would be above about 39,000 or so. If we can go significantly above 39,000, maybe to 40, 41,000, that could be a really good sign. Right now, we're still kind of in an ascending triangle, which is kind of bearish at this point. But if we were to actually break like 40, 41,000, we could actually break out of that formation and just basically having like higher lows and higher highs after the initial dump. Now, if we can actually reach this plateau and surpass it above 44,000, that might actually change the signals. The week actually ended on a good note with good earnings reports, Russia not invading, obviously, and overall, the crypto regulation stuff, nothing happening really on that front. So overall, I would say like the economic signals were actually positive towards the end of this week, which actually I expect us to go up a little bit more tomorrow on Sunday. And then depending on what the Nikkei does in the Asian markets, which are generally a half a day ahead of us, and what the Dow futures say going into Monday, then we can actually judge what will actually happen Monday. My guess is the beginning of next week will be fairly positive because of the earnings reports that were actually pretty good. Unless some big hammer comes down on the Russia news, or something else big comes up, which I don't think they will, unless the situation in the Russia-Ukraine thing changes drastically. I really don't think anything is really going to pop up and really scare people off. I mean, we had the Fed report with Jerome Powell. We had the earnings reports. And overall, last week, at the end of the week, people were gaining some confidence. Inflation is still high, and I don't think we're really going to get off of that until we get much further into the year. So we might not get like a huge pump until I guess, May or something, April, May. We might be like in the sideways trading, slightly downward for maybe like 1 or 2 more months. But I think the worst of it is probably over unless something happens with the geopolitical situation. Like I said, I definitely need to see this rise to at least 41, 42,000 to see like any kind of short-term reversal, and at least above 44, 45,000 for a long-term reversal. Above 50,000 would be the best. Now, in terms of technicals, on the 1 day, the 10s are actually moving into the buy territory. We're slightly above the EMA for the 10 and SMA above, for the 10. The oscillators for the momentum and the MACD level, they're getting less negative, and the trend is actually starting to form. However, the RSI, the stochastic, and the commodity channel are both neutral. So, like the oscillators are a slight buy on the daily. The moving averages still sell, but very, very short term. Like I said, starting the very beginning of next week, I could definitely see a buy signal for maybe like Monday and Tuesday before maybe like going back to neutral or maybe going back to the sell, depending on what we actually hear next week. The EMAs for the 20 onward are definitely still all sell. The 50 EMA is still below, the 50 EMA, still below the 200 EMA. So overall, on the long term, we're still very negative. We would actually have to reach at least the mid 40, if not the upper 40,000s for the 50 EMA to cross the 200 EMA. And at that point, we form that golden cross. And when that happens, we might actually be out of this bearish market. I think it'll take probably until April or May, perhaps, to do that. Because, I think people are very, very anxious to figure out what happens after the Fed starts hiking interest rates and how many interest rates the Feds are going to hike. Like I said, the Fed is promoting a lot of uncertainty because they haven't given us a clear guideline, but they really can't right now, unfortunately. So that's what we actually have to work with right now. On the weekly, the oscillators are definitely going towards buy. You see the stochastic is going oversold. Commodity channel index is oversold. Awesome oscillator is becoming less negative. the stochastic RSI, everything is kind of like oversold at this point. And since the directional index isn't very strong on the weekly, that signals a buy chance on the weekly. So like I said, maybe early next week, maybe even into next week, the oscillators could actually signal a short-term buy. So the moving average for the 10, 20, 30, 50 is still all sell. So like on the weekly, like if you're looking at the moving averages, it's still sell. We do need to move past the mid 40,000s for that to actually become a buy. But overall, like I said, it's kind of neutral right now between the oscillators and the moving averages. And if you're going to buy, you probably want to look at selling off probably like by Tuesday night or Wednesday for a small gain. If you want to play that, I think that there's a good chance that you might get some gains there on just buying, spot buying. Definitely wouldn't play futures or anything, but it's still very risky, and like any bad news Monday could trigger a sell-off, or possibly even tomorrow. Although tomorrow's Sunday, there's usually not too much news on a Sunday. On the monthly, obviously the 10, the exponential and the simple for the 10 are still obviously on sell. We need to reach at least the mid 40,000s for that to change. So that seems to be the magic number, 45, 46,000 right now. Definitely 47, 48. A lot of this stuff will turn back into buy. The oscillators are pretty much neutral. They're nothing's really oversold or overbought, and the moving averages are the ones I look at are actually on sell for the month. So I definitely wouldn't be buying for all of next month. I would only be looking very, very short term in terms of buy, because there's nothing saying that there's not going to be another piece of news that turns it back around. But I am definitely looking forward to hopefully getting above 41, 42,000, and then maybe, and then and only then, maybe we can see somewhat of a reversal and getting up into the upper 40,000s. But there is a resistance at 40,000. You do need to know that, so it will probably be a little bit challenging to get past that, but perhaps a slight buy going into early next week. And like based on the inflation news, we might not actually get like a more bullish market until April or May. But we'll have to see how that goes. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.